Before we jump into today's episode, I want to ask you something and I want you to really feel into it. Are you living the life you actually want? Or are you just getting through the days hoping someday things will feel different? If you're a mom who feels tired, disconnected, or stuck on autopilot, even though you're doing all the right things, I want you to know this. You are not broken, you are not lazy, and you are not behind. You're outgrowing the version of yourself that learned how to survive. And that moment, the one where things feel heavy, uncomfortable, or misaligned, is usually the moment before everything begins to shift. Most moms don't need more motivation or another plan. They need space to pause, to get honest about where they are, and to reconnect with who they're becoming. It's why I offer a free Limitless Mom Strategy call. It's a calm, supportive conversation where we talk about where you are right now, where you want to be, and what's been quietly holding you back from following through on the life you know you're meant for. No pressure, no fixing, just clarity, support, and next steps that feel aligned with who you truly are. If something inside you knows it's time for a new season, this call might be your next brave step. You can book it using the link in the show notes. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
Welcome to Radiant Mom Rising. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and uplifted. I'm your host, Mary Dibble, and in each episode, we dive into amazing stories, insights, and conversations that help moms like you chase your dreams and embrace your worth. Let's rise and shine together.
Hey, Radiant Mamas. Welcome back to another episode of Radiant Mom Rising. If you've been thinking lately, I want more freedom, but I don't want to sacrifice my family, my peace, or myself to get it, this conversation is going to land deeply for you. Today, I'm joined by Melissa Broughton, a mom who took an unexpected life-changing moment and turned it into a business that now supports not just her family, but so many other moms searching for options, confidence, and financial independence. This episode is about choice. It's about listening to that inner nudge. And it's about realizing that the path you never planned might be the one that finally fits your life. Let's dive in. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Radiant Mom Rising podcast. I'm excited to be here with Miss Melissa today. Melissa, how are you doing?
I'm great, Mary. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure to have you. I'm excited to introduce you to the audience. So how about we get started and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
So I am a wife of a wonderful husband and who is also my business partner
Huh?
and a proud mama of two boys that are we're almost empty nesters. So in June we will officially be empty nesters, and that's just kind of a crazy time. So that would be about me on a personal side of things. But what I do, I own and run with my husband a bookkeeping and tax firm in Northern California, Busy Bee Advisors. I'm still very much involved in the day-to-day operations, although I do have an amazing team that helps to hold things together. And then in 2024, I launched an online course called the One Hour Bookkeeper, aimed to teach moms how to understand that they kind of have a choice and that bookkeeping could be the tool to lead to whatever that choice is. And so I know that sounds kind of funny to say they have a choice, but sometimes moms feel the pull to be at home with their kiddos. I know I certainly did. I wanted to be at home with my boys. I didn't want to miss anything, but I also knew that first, our family needed that second income. And second, that I needed a bit more mental stimulation than toddlers would provide. So I'll just say it that way.
Yeah.
And so I started in 2015. I actually launched my bookkeeping firm from home, and we kind of figured out the process of how to do it. And so I don't want to say kind of, we hit $750,000 in sales our second year in business.
Wow.
And that's kind of unheard of for a bookkeeping firm. And we've continued on an upward trajectory since then. So it's provided an amazing lifestyle for us. It's allowed us to not be able to miss a moment with our kids.
Yeah.
And that's really, honestly, at the end of the day, that's really what matters. So I created a bookkeeping training program to teach all of the mamas out there who
Yeah.
want something more, that they do have choices and that bookkeeping could be a lovely tool for them. So
Ah,
that's what I do.
that's so cool. And that's funny because I do that as for my day job. I am a bookkeeper pretty much. I
Awesome.
ran a landscape company, so I had to self-teach myself that stuff too. Like, yeah, I didn't, come into this with any kind of background or anything like that. So I'm evidence that you don't have to have a college degree or a complete background. You can learn these things as you go. And it is wonderful because looking now at my journey today, I didn't realize how much that was preparing me to become an entrepreneur and get me into that understanding how a business works and understanding the books. And so I think that's wonderful that you're teaching moms and giving them the option because of that job, it's what led me to be home with my kids.
It's
That was what
amazing.
got me out of my 9 to 5. You know what I mean? Like yes, I mean, I work from home and I still have a lot on me per se, but I do have the flexibility of getting to be, to show up to my kids' school events, to go to appointments, and not have to worry about like I'm going to get in trouble or I have to check in with the boss or anything like that. It's like as long as I get my stuff done, they're very cool. So
Yep.
that's great. And I'm a boss with things, so I'm all about getting things done. So I think that is very neat that you started that, and with the intentions, especially of wanting to be home with your kids. I mean, I think that most of my listeners today as moms ultimately that's what we crave. That's what we're looking for is that freedom, the flexibility. And I I would love for you to speak more to that to moms who may be feeling like they're stuck in their 9 to 5 corporate jobs or whatever they're doing, or they're afraid to take that next step of like the idea of starting a business or doing that. Tell us a little bit about what you experienced in the beginning when you made that decision and some of the challenges you faced and how you kind of overcame that.
So I think it starts with what you said just a moment ago about the freedom to not have to feel like you have to ask a boss to, am I okay to take time off to go to this school event or that school event? Because I don't know about your kids, but I know that like my youngest, his school will plan events at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
if you work, how do you do that? You have to take time off. And if you have a boss who maybe isn't sympathetic to that, or
Yeah.
maybe
Hmm.
your boss doesn't have kids, it
Yeah.
puts you in kind of an awkward position and you feel guilty. Like I was just sick of feeling guilty. I felt
Yeah.
guilty because I was missing out on stuff with my kids. I felt guilty because I was exhausted and felt like I wasn't able to be present for my husband, who I adore. And I felt guilty to my job because I felt like I was always pulled in a different direction. And it was really a challenging proposition to walk away from a six-figure income
Yeah.
and to say, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
And so, my journey, so to speak, is kind of I look back and it's kind of an entertaining one, but we finally, so my husband surprised me for my 40th birthday and took me on a cruise.
Oh,
And, I mean, I knew about it a couple weeks
yeah.
before, but he
So,
planned it and stuff like that.
yeah.
So, of course, we're gone for 10 days. I obviously had to ask for the time off from work, but it was 10 days away without the kids. It was fantastic. Halfway through, so we were out on the water for 3 days, which means there's no cell service or anything like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
We get to Puerto Vallarta and we like had this amazing day of walking around and visiting places. My family used to vacation there when I was younger, so visiting places I had gone to and seeing kind of how they had changed and modernized. Mexico's changed a lot in the last 20 years or so. And so we stop at a hotel that we had gone to when I was growing up. And at the bar, we're having some pina coladas. Actually, vacation is the only time my husband drinks.
Oh, really?
And pina coladas are his drink of choice when we're on vacation. So it's pretty funny to see this big, tough guy drinking a pina colada. So we're sitting at the hotel bar, we're having our two pina coladas. We were by no means like trashed or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I have this decision that, this
Yeah.
this crazy thought I'm going to turn on my phone and I'm going to call the office to make sure everything's good. And, it wasn't. The person who was supposed to fill in for me never showed up. My boss was, accusing me of just leaving on vacation and not telling him and
Ah,
demanding that I be back the next day. And I'm like, well, we're in Mexico. That's,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And the big issue was that he, the boss, had taken money from our payroll tax account and used it to purchase some equipment. And he would do things like that, but I would always be there because I was the controller at the time. I would always be there to make sure that that the money got put back so that
Yeah.
payroll taxes could be pulled.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't there. He had done it just, I guess, right at the wrong time and had some state tax agencies that were not very happy with him. So he was getting, angry phone calls and stuff like that. And after getting kind of yelled at and chastised for, and this was the first vacation I had taken in probably 5 years. So,
Wow.
I mean, I didn't take sick days. I
Yeah.
didn't take vacation. You understand?
Yes,
Like,
I
you
do.
just you go to
I
work, you're responsible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny how like they're the owners of the company and they are so out of touch of what's actually happening within their company. And then one thing that they do that goes wrong, it's on you. Like, and it's
Oh,
like it's
absolutely.
just it's so challenging. It's hard. I mean, I get it because even people don't understand. Like, even working from home, like sometimes that used to be thrown in my face a little bit from them. Like, oh, you get to work from home. And I'm like, but I'm still at the computer, like stuck and glued because there's so much to do. Like, just because I'm not sitting in an office doesn't change the fact that I have responsibilities and I have so much on my plate that even with kids around, it's like having a daycare and a job at the same time.
Yep.
And it's like, talk about a challenge. And you know what? I did it. I did it and I made things happen and I still was on top of things. So I don't want to hear it. Like, but I feel you though. I'm so glad you got to get away from that because man, he sounded like a jerk.
And I had a lot of respect for him,
Yeah.
which was unfortunate. But
Mm,
you start when you're fueled by those vacation pina coladas,
heck, yeah.
and somebody starts chastising you and treating you like you're a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was something in me, and so I quit my job on the spot. So I look at my husband, who's of course heard my side of the conversation, and he's like, "Okay, so I guess we're gonna figure out some stuff." So, the upside of it was I got to have the rest of the summer with my boys. It was amazing. Once because the story gets so much better, of course it does. So
Yeah.
I get to spend 2 months of summer, 2.5 months of summer with them. It was awesome to just be there for everything.
Yeah.
They go back to school, and I decide on the day that, I drop them off at school, I decide, okay, I'm going to go for a run and I'm going to kind of clear my head and figure out what's next
Yeah.
because we had been watching our what had been a healthy savings account drain quite quickly with
Yeah.
me not working.
Yeah.
And so I go for a run, and I will tell you, I have never been somebody who makes running look easy. Running has always been a bit of a struggle. I don't want to set the expectation that I'm
Yeah.
like super athletic
Yeah.
person because I'm not. But I think it's because it's so hard that it's always been very good for me to like clear my head. So I'm 2 miles from my house, and I'm at full sprint. My foot hit an uneven piece of the sidewalk. Now, ironically, I'm running on the sidewalk because I didn't want to get run over by a car.
Yeah.
But my foot hit an uneven piece of the sidewalk, and I, at full sprint, just face planted. Now, the response that
Yeah.
people are supposed to have where they put their hands out, apparently I don't do that.
Oh gosh.
So my face hit the pavement. I broke my jaw,
Oh my
and I
God.
literally shattered. I mean, I was walking home, and I really don't remember the walk home. Thankfully, a neighbor drove by and was like, she said, "You looked like a scene from a horror movie."
Oh my
But
God.
I mean, I was spitting out chunks of my teeth. So I shattered every tooth in my mouth except for my top and bottom four.
Oh my God.
And so here I'm supposed to be like figuring out what's next as far as career choice. Well, now that's all of a sudden totally been put on the back burner. And
Wow.
so thank God for that, that wonderful husband that I'm talking about, right? Thank God that we had dental insurance because $92,000 of dental bills.
Wow.
Yep. So what
That's
that
so
gave me
expensive.
though was this gift of I couldn't do anything. I mean, I really couldn't. I could, I had to rest. I slept a lot. I had a lot of dental appointments. And I couldn't be on the phone. I really couldn't focus too much on even like emailing or anything like that. Like I just had to rest. It took everything just to be there and be present for my family. Aside from that, I was pretty exhausted. So it took about 6 weeks for me to kind of start to feel normal, for me to get through the first series of dental treatments.
Wow.
And we're talking about implants
Yeah.
and
I worked at an oral surgeon's
yeah,
office, so I worked for an
yeah,
oral surgeon for many
yeah, you
years, and
get
I'll
it.
tell you, woo,
I became
that's
so close to my dentist because
yeah,
I was there
I bet.
probably twice a week.
Oh my God, I bet. Oh my gosh. Oh,
And, yes, there were painkillers I could have taken, but that just made me feel more
mm,
fuzzy. And
yeah.
so I really just kind of
Yes.
was like on Tylenol and just ice packs.
Yeah.
And
Good for you.
so 6 weeks comes, and we're hitting that point where
Yeah.
financially for my family, where it's like we've got to figure something out. So, and my
Yeah.
husband of course didn't want to put pressure on me. He
Yeah.
wanted me to heal. So
Mhm.
we were having conversations about like, should he take on a second job? And I really thought, okay, I'm going to give myself, and I remember the moment, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And if I can't find, because I knew that I wanted to do bookkeeping on my own. I knew that if I went to work for another company, that it would just be more of the same. The people
Yeah.
would look different,
Yeah.
but it would end up being more of the same,
Yeah.
because the piece that I think a lot of people maybe don't understand is once you get into that executive level position, the pressure doesn't get less. The pressure actually becomes more, where there's the expectation that you're available 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
If the bosses
You
have
don't
a
have a life outside of
yeah,
work.
there's no
Mhm.
life. Work
Mhm.
is your life.
Mhm.
And so I felt like going to work for another company would be more of the same. And that left me with the opportunity, or the option, I guess, to branch out and start my own company. So I gave myself 2 weeks. And it was, I was sending emails, reaching out, going through all those business cards, that I maybe had in my desk at home, reaching out to people I knew. And it was on like day 11 of 14 that a friend of a friend reached out, and I'm certainly not saying that like Facebook is the answer, but a friend of a friend's reached out on Facebook, and he said, and it was a friend from high school too, it was like just this kind of random connection, and said, hey, your friend so and so recommended I reach out to you. I'm looking for a bookkeeper. And it was really the perfect scenario. He was he was a helicopter pilot that did pest mitigation
Mhm.
for marijuana farms.
Mhm.
So like beyond cool, just
Yeah.
beyond cool.
Yes, that's so cool.
And what he needed
Uh-huh.
was, he operated his business totally and completely out of his helicopter,
Oh.
which when he
Oh.
was first starting was fine, but business had started to pick up. He was in the process of building out a commercial space so that he could do operations there, but it was like 6 months out. And so what I knew was that I would have this bookkeeping job with him for 6 months.
Okay.
And what that gave me was, revenue coming in for
Mhm.
6 months. And it actually ended up lasting a little bit longer than that. But it gave me revenue coming in to where I could service this one client and then work to gain other clients at the same time. And so that was how Busy Bee Advisors started back in 2016.
Wow.
I helped him find his in-house bookkeeper, and we parted ways very amicably, but it's been really this kind of awesome, amazing upwards trajectory since then. And I think, as far as speaking to all of the moms out there, I was right there in your shoes. I was there in your shoes with knowing that, and so many of my students have been right there in your shoes. We're feeling like, okay, so I can stay at home with my kids and we have like no money. I mean, life is expensive. It depends on, I'm sure, where
Yeah.
you are in the country. We're in
Yeah.
California,
Oh,
and we got our utility bill last month
mhm.
for the heat. It was $900.
What? Oh, that's insane. That's more than,
It's
oh my gosh, more
That's
people.
ridiculous.
That is
I mean,
what?
car registration. Now, California, a given, is expensive, but
Yeah.
car registration was, between our two cars was $1,500 last year. Like, living is expensive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think the world that, I grew up with a mom who worked,
Mhm.
but worked and she was a bookkeeper actually. And so my grandma did bookkeeping on the side as well. So she worked, but she had flexibility.
Yeah.
We were in a position where she didn't really need to work, but she
Mhm.
did it more. She would call it her kind of her mental sanity.
Yeah.
My grandma was the, as I would call it, the original single mom, where she was a
Yeah.
single mom of four kids,
Yeah.
and she worked as a radiologist at a hospital that was walking distance from her house. She did not drive, and
Wow.
she
Mhm.
needed that little bit of extra money every month just to make ends meet.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so she had bookkeeping clients that she would go, and she would take the bus to wherever their location was,
Yeah.
pick up their stuff, do it at the kitchen table, and then take the bus back and drop their stuff off. Well, technology has obviously changed that a lot for
Oh
us. We don't
gosh.
need to
Yeah.
go and pick stuff up physically.
Yeah.
So I come from a long line of bookkeepers, and it
Yeah.
really is this amazing solution that really can appeal to a lot of moms out there.
Oh yeah. And I want to pause for a moment too and just recognize that you had this horrendous accident happen to you that like forced you like at a time when you were already needing to look for something else. Like it's so I just find that incredible how the universe and God works in ways in mysterious ways like that. Like where something so bad that happens literally was almost like pushing you in a place where you had no choice but to rest
Yep.
because
It,
probably he knew that if you were had the availability, you would have probably fallen back into your old patterns of like choosing to just go back to the corporate work. Maybe you would have convinced yourself that okay, I need this, but I love how in that time and in that experience, as hard as it was, like it's what led you to make that decision to be like, you know what, I'm going to start my own. Like you had that time to allow like those downloads to come into you and show you that, hey, maybe you could do this yourself. And then you took that step, as scary as it is. Because I'm sitting here thinking too, when you said you started your own business, I'm like, it does also take money to start a business. Like how to even to have the courage, not really knowing what's going to happen and being like, okay, we need a second income, but yet here you are making a bold decision to like, no, I'm just going to start my own business regardless, knowing that that takes time to grow and you don't know if the unexpected of what's going to happen is so brave. It's so courageous and it's so beautiful to see how like all it takes is that one person to refer, to meet, to walk, to run into, and then it turns everything around for you. And I just think that just anyone listening, I just want you to take that in. Like I know that it's scary. I know that there's so much uncertainty out there and we don't know how things are going to happen and fall into place. But if you could just trust and hear these stories and see how things do unfold the way they're meant to, as ugly as it can seem in some situations, like I just feel like that's so powerful and just such an important message to receive. And this is why I really work with moms about learning to trust ourselves, love
yep.
ourselves, because
Yep.
when we're in that frequency of like taking care of us, loving us, and really doing what's good for us, what feels right for us, everything else does have a way of working out, and it will work out even better than we could ever imagine. But that's the hard part. That's the challenge because we have the self-doubt. We have the thoughts that keep us stuck. And we have our subconscious constantly reminding us of who we were and won't allow us to become who we are meant to be. And that right there is what I love helping moms with. And this is why I love hearing stories like yours because it's incredible. I mean, that's so amazing how things unfolded for you and that you created something that sounds like a family legacy, that you've built upon and made even bigger than your other family could.
So
Yeah.
my oldest son is medically retired from the Marine Corps. He
Ooh.
was kind of my big reason why I wanted to start the business. So he is now medically retired, and I
Nice.
get the joy of he works with me. I mean, it's
That's
really
so
so that family
that's
legacy
yeah.
is true. I just think that sometimes when you're I've walked that path. I've walked the path of the moms that are out there who
Mhm.
feel like they want something more in their lives.
Yeah.
And holy cow, what a freaking trick the universe plays on us. Like we're these strong, independent, awesome women, and then
Yeah.
we meet a guy and we get married, or maybe the order is a little
It's a
bit different,
yeah.
and we have a baby, and our whole life totally changes.
Yeah.
And then those babies grow up and they want to leave us, and it changes all again. But like, you have I heard somebody say, with these wonderful babies that we have, that you
Mhm.
have 18 summers and that's it. And I really, yeah, don't get choked up, because
Yeah, I'm
holy
sorry.
cow.
Yeah, my
I
son's
The
about to
first
be
time I heard it, I was like,
Ooh, my son's about to be 18. My oldest is
oh.
about to be 18 and he's about to graduate. And I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I'm
So
not
our
ready.
boys are the same age. I have a 17-year-old. He'll be
Yeah.
18 in June, and I'm not ready for it. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I know that I haven't missed anything. Like I know when he so pretty funny, Christmas break, he thought he went back to school on Monday, so he gets up and he goes to school. He comes home 20 minutes later. I'm like, what's going on? I'm at my desk ready to, working on
Oh
Monday, thinking,
gosh.
okay, I can finally get back into the normal routine. He's all, oh, I don't go back to school until tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then he looks at me. So what do you want to do today, Mom? Well, if I was at work,
Yeah.
that would be, he'd just be home and it'd be
Hmm.
kind of wasted. We went to a movie, we went out to lunch. Like
That's
it
awesome.
was these secret kind of stolen moments. And that's really what it becomes with our
Yeah.
kiddos when they
Yeah.
get older, is when they are willing to, look away from their phones or
Yes.
whatever their devices are, or
Yeah.
girls or their friends, and we get those moments. I just didn't want to miss any of those
Oh
moments.
yeah. Oh my God, me too. And I love it because my son was in marching band. So it was like, especially for this his last year, like we went to like the football games, his performances, and I'm just so proud of him because he's grown so much. He self-taught himself to do snare drum and then he became like the lead at the senior
Wow.
year. So yeah, he's amazing and he just has such a passion for it. And then even just having these conversations with him about his future in college, and he's wanting to do business psychology, and he loves gaming too. He loves anime, he loves gaming. He's typical boy. And just getting to share with him the wisdom that I'm learning, and being like, don't wait until your 30s or your 40s or your 50s to like figure this stuff out. Like if you can learn now to not care what people think and be true to who you are and just allow yourself, because I said you're only saving yourself so much heartache, so much unnecessary people, the wrong people to come into your life by really showing up as your true self and not worrying if you're going to stumble on your words, or, if you're going to embarrass yourself. Like just have fun with it. Like the right people will find you and then you'll save yourself from the wrong people. But I just love him because he's still like gives me a good night hug and kiss every night. He's very respectful. If I need anything, he helps wash the dishes, he cleans the bathroom, he does his own laundry, just things like that. It's like I love that I'm preparing him so much for that time for him to go off and be a man. And just knowing that he's just he's just so different than when I was. I pray to God. I also have two young ones, and I think that that's what kind of helps me a little bit right now. Is I do have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old who will be 5 and 7 this year. But yeah, and it's like I have a son and a daughter, and I have a daughter. Like I never thought I'd have a daughter, so it's like neat having that experience for myself. And but I do love like the bond and the closeness, and like you say, not missing out. Because I did miss out with my oldest. When he was first born, I had to work. I was that
Yep.
single mom who had to go and work and put him in daycare and miss all his stuff, especially when I got into banking. Banking was a very, I had to they needed me. I couldn't really
Yep.
miss that. So that was different of an experience. But I love how, like you say, it's like doors just continue to open. I feel like every time God knew that I was ready for the next thing, like all it would take is the one person saying something and showing up and being like, oh, we're looking to hire for this. And I'd be like, oh, there's my calling. Do it. bam, happened.
But you were open to
I
it.
was,
And
I was. Hmm.
I suppose if I were to present anything to your audience on the
Hmm.
podcast, it would be to encourage them to be open
Yeah,
to the opportunities that are out there. I definitely don't think bookkeeping is the perfect fit for everyone. I think it can be,
yeah,
but I think that we all have different callings. That's
yeah.
what makes us so amazing. But God speaks to us, not
I
to
know.
get super religious, but
Yeah,
I truly do believe that God speaks to us, and He really does speak to us in those moments where we're still
yeah,
and we're open to hearing His message. And so, allow yourself a moment today to just be still and to, close your eyes for a moment. And I, I had somebody tell me I may fall asleep. Well, then take a little
yeah,
nap, but
yeah.
close your eyes for a moment and kind of, let your mind wander and think about what you really want your life to be. We have such a short time
Yeah.
that we are here. We deserve for ourselves and for our kids to
Yeah.
live the life that we were meant to live. So,
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly the message that I'm here to share and help as many moms who are willing to listen to find for themselves because, yeah, you're right. This is it. This is the only life we get. I say that all the time, and I'm like, I want everyone to be able to live on their terms. I'm so tired of the conditioning that the society has put on so many of us to believe that only the few get to be successful. Only this certain amount of people are allowed to have that. Like, no, all of us are. It's just not many of us are willing to believe that it's possible and do that. And for me, in the inner work, I think that that's truly for me, what I've found on my journey personally has been the most transformational is when I stopped looking for all the answers externally and started seeing it myself internally and started allowing myself to be radically honest and also loving and compassionate as I figured out who am I? Like, who am I outside of being a wife and a mom? And, like, who do I want to be in this world? How do I want to show up? What feels good for me? What do I need right now? Instead of like trying to be everything for everyone else. Like, that's been such my story for so many years. But the moment I started deciding that I'm going to put myself first and really take care of myself and take this stuff seriously, whew, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful for it. And that's why I just want people to understand like it's available for you. It's there for you. Don't be afraid to go out there and take chances. Like even with the bookkeeping, I have everything to thank for that. If it wasn't for that opportunity, I wouldn't have been able to work from home and have the flexibility. And even if bookkeeping ends up, like you say, it may not be your thing, it's still something to have while you go after what you're passionate about. Like I've always
yep.
looked at that with my job. My job is providing me the income and the source to get through so that so I can pursue my passion on the side. And when the times comes and I know that it's on its way to me, I will be ready to step full time into that and I'll be ready to carry that because that's another thing too. Sometimes we want it so bad now, but we don't realize that we're just haven't arrived into that identity yet. And that's what we're working on is building that, working on our identity of who we are now so that we can receive that. But until you're there, that's okay. That's a reason probably why you're hindering yourself from receiving it because it's not the right timing yet. And that's something I'm working on understanding and learning and teaching my clients and the people in my world is just honoring that and really working to just step into that new identity of who do you want to be, like who that version and that dream that you have, because you have to really embody that identity now and not just wait until things happen in order to become her. You have to be
That's
her now.
so true. I mean, that's some profound stuff you're saying. I hope your listeners are really really listening
Yeah,
because that's so true.
yeah,
And I think so many of us want it right now.
yeah.
One of the things that was interesting. So I released the first version of the course in August of 2024. By
Hmm.
August of 2025, we had just over 3,000 people go through the course, which
Wow,
is to me,
that's
I mean,
incredible.
I feel so
Yeah,
humbled that I've been able to touch that many lives.
Yeah.
But we're now on, I guess I could call it version 2 of the course. We just released it. We just released the self-study version today, last night officially. Some
Oh,
people got in early, but
congrats.
but what the biggest question that people will have is, okay, yeah, bookkeeping, that all sounds good. Can I learn the skills? Well, yes, absolutely, you can learn the skills. We walk you through step by step on how to learn the skills. But then the next question is, and what I feel holds most people back is, well, where am I going to find clients? Because that's the piece that's scary. So we actually are walking you through not only the skills, but building up your client base at the same time, so that when you've completed the course, you'll have, most of our students that get through the course have between 5 to 7 clients by the time they finish. Now, I do have some superstars. I've had a few that have, that have really hit it
Mhm.
hard and really been very consistent and kind of
Yeah.
taken everything I'm teaching as gospel, so to speak. And they're at,
Yeah.
maybe 15 clients, which is fantastic. But they're at 15 clients and they're making more money than they were at their job,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
they're all those things that were concerns, they have the support system to reach out. They can
Yes.
ask questions.
Yeah.
And they also get to have a community of people that they get to celebrate with when they have successes. And
Yeah.
those were all things that were really important to
Yeah.
me, because
Mhm.
although I went to school for accounting,
Yeah.
I did not learn bookkeeping. I was very much like you. I had to
Yeah.
figure it out
Yeah.
myself. I could read financial reports,
Yeah.
I could do projections. I could tell you when you would, break even as far as a company went. But as far as the day-to-day bookkeeping, that
Yeah.
wasn't something that was taught. And so I had to figure it out too, just like you're talking about. And it was like this whole, I don't know, this whole world unlocked
Yeah.
for me when I figured it out.
Oh,
And
right.
you get to give that gift to your clients. You get to
Yeah.
show them that they don't have to, make business decisions based on feelings or guesses. I talked to a new client yesterday who's a real estate professional, real estate agent. He's in Tennessee. And he was like, this last year's been hard. It's been really scary. There's been lots of ups and downs. And I mean, I have money in my bank account, so I guess I must be doing good. And I'm thinking, well, that's not the way to determine if you're doing well or not.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I
Mhm.
said, well, have you ever worked with a bookkeeper before? And he said, no, I've kind of always done it for just taxes. I was like,
Mm.
okay, that's a pretty common answer, where most
Mhm.
small businesses will only worry about their books at the end of the year for
Oof.
taxes, or if they need a loan,
Yeah.
right? Which is
Mhm.
terrible. I
I
know.
know.
I see
Like,
your face. You're like,
I
oh
know.
my gosh.
Yeah.
And I said, well, here's one thing I can promise you. I said, we'll get your books done, because we're going back and we're doing all of 2025 for him. We'll get your books done. But what you will see is you will see patterns.
Mhm.
And the longer that you either have us do your books, or if you stay consistent with doing books on
Mhm.
your own. And of course he said, no, I'm not going to be consistent. I'm like, well, that's good that you're honest.
Yeah.
You'll see these patterns emerge. And so you can plan for those seasons when it's naturally slow, and you
Mhm.
can, enjoy those seasons when and when it's
Mhm.
busy, and you
Yeah.
you can get ahead of it so that you can actually be proactive instead of reactive. And
Yeah.
that's
Love
really, I
that.
think, the gift as
Yeah.
bookkeepers that we get to give
Mhm.
small business owners.
I love that.
And
Yeah.
it's, gosh, I mean, who can't get excited about that?
I know. I never,
So
yeah, I didn't even think of it like that. You're right. Because I mean, I know that with what I do, like, I just couldn't imagine as the owner, like, him having that on him. Like, there's just no way with everything he has to do with meeting with clients and doing the jobs and all that. Like, I get it. And it makes me feel, you're right. It's a great perspective to have of how you're helping someone to alleviate that stress on themselves of having to keep up with that. And like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize people did that and like actually waited to the end of the year. Like, whew,
small
yeah.
business owners.
Yes. Hmm.
So the company you work for is probably of a size. They've got lots of employees. Think they're like
No,
they're
it's
they're
a
a
small,
size.
I actually work for a small business. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Hmm.
So a lot of small businesses where you have, let's say, businesses across the board who
Yeah.
do $2 million or less in revenue.
Yeah.
That's a lot of businesses. And the majority of them wait until February or March the next year to even put their financials together
Mm.
just so that they can file taxes. So what they're missing, first of all, it takes so much longer when you're doing it after the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you're missing things.
Yeah.
You're definitely missing out on deductions.
Yeah.
And why not use the numbers? Because the numbers don't lie. Why not use those numbers to help guide you? I mean,
Yeah.
we've used the financials for companies to help companies grow. We used it. We have a client who's an auto mechanic. When he first started working with us, he had, it was him, and he had left working for a dealership with the desire to branch out on his own, and I love celebrating that with
I
with
too.
fellow business owners.
It's
And it was him. He had one bay, so he could do the most he could do was one vehicle at a time. And he
hmm.
had these dreams of wanting to expand and wanting to hire, because his motivation was not wanting to miss anything with his kids.
Mm.
And they were three kids super involved in sports. I mean,
Oh,
super involved in sports.
yeah.
And so what we did was we looked at his numbers, we looked at where we could kind of maximize things, we looked at what was making him money and what wasn't making him money, and he stopped doing the things that weren't making him money.
Love that.
And he hired his first person, then his second person. Within a year, he was at six people and had the opportunity to take over the space next to him when the tenant moved out, which allowed him to expand to 12 bays. So that was huge. And
Yes.
it was all about the numbers.
Yeah.
And so all of that stuff, the doing, the functional part of the mechanics of bookkeeping, it is very straightforward to learn. It is, I think one of the quotes that I get teased about, and I don't know where it came from. When I said it, it just came out of my brain, but was, if you can read a recipe and follow a recipe, you can become a bookkeeper.
Oh, I like
It's
that. Yeah.
step by step. And
Yeah.
we've broken it down. So when I had that time to be still, when I
Yeah.
was recovering, I wasn't sitting there and I wasn't lamenting about woe is me and this is
Hmm.
so awful that this happened to
That.
me. And,
Love that.
I mean, I just wasn't. That's not who I am. What I was thinking about was, okay, so I want to start a bookkeeping business. Well, what does that look like? How am I going to service clients? What are other bookkeepers out there doing that's working? What are other bookkeepers out there doing that's not working? And there were a lot of interesting answers to those questions that I
Yeah.
found. So
Message.
we have processes for everything. So it really becomes this kind of it's a plug and play system
Yeah.
where we on a monthly basis work with about 300 bookkeeping clients. So our
Mhm.
firm works with about 300 bookkeeping clients on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Our students, what we teach our students is
Hmm.
that kind of the piece where they maximize is
Hmm.
25 clients. So from day one, if you're wanting to work a bookkeeping business full time, so you
Hmm.
don't have another job that you're working, or you just need the income so that you can leave that other job,
Hmm.
that 25 clients is the goal. So, you break it down to what 25 clients looks like, and 25 clients is over, on average, over $100,000 a year in income. The
Wow.
overhead is super low. Most companies, their two most expensive things are payroll. Well, if you're the only one on payroll, that keeps it pretty low.
Yeah.
And overhead from, a rent or a lease. Well, you don't have to be in a commercial space. You know, I
Hmm.
I would say the one positive thing that came out of COVID is that everybody's really gotten used to working virtually,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
that makes our jobs even easier. So
Yeah, absolutely. And so, if anyone's listening right now and they were interested to learn more about this bookkeeping and everything you do, what would you say is the best place for them to find out more?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a resource that they can download,
Okay.
and you can put
Okay.
that in the show notes.
Absolutely.
The best place for them to go would be to onehourbookkeeper.com.
Okay.
But I'll give you a resource that they
Yeah.
can download, that you can pop in the show notes.
Okay.
And then what I would recommend, what I would encourage, what I would absolutely love is anybody out there who is just like, if this conversation has piqued their interest,
Yeah.
know that I was in your shoes and know that I was desperately looking for something more, and that I found it, and I would absolutely love to share it with them. And it all starts with a conversation. So let's have that conversation, because I love when I get to really walk through the questions that people have, or the things that they feel like they're their reasons for why they can't. And it's
Yeah.
not because
Oh
it's
yeah.
a
Yeah.
heavy sales process or anything like that. It's just,
Yeah.
I think sometimes we have these fears, and we keep them close to our heart, but we hear them all the time, and so we don't have anybody to necessarily speak out loud to share those fears with.
Yeah.
And I become that safe space to share those fears with. I mean,
Yes.
you're probably not going to bump into me at the grocery store. You're probably not going to, see me at
Yeah.
Starbucks or anything like
That
that. It's a
feeling.
safe place, because I,
Yeah.
I truly am a complete stranger. And I've had crazy conversations
Yeah.
about bookkeeping with people in like some of the wildest places. I mean,
I love it.
on airplanes, gosh, I
Yeah.
my husband won't even sit next to me on an airplane, but it's my favorite thing to do.
It's
He's
fun.
a quiet flyer.
Oh, my husband's the
I'm
same way.
like, let's meet new friends. I mean, these are
But that's
so
but that's what you do though. That's how you go out there and meet people, and you never know the opportunities that can come. Like, I'm even proud of myself. Just yesterday I started a new Pilates class, and I can be a little shy too, surprisingly. I know people are like, "Oh, what? You're shy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have had to work a lot to overcome that, being an introvert." And it's like one of the things I did is like I made a point to talk to people, to be friendly, and I met two really amazing women already that we conversated with, and I felt good with, and I'm like, I look forward to seeing them again at the next one. So it's
there
like,
you go.
it's just little things like that really help. Like, even my husband, he's working to be more open to speaking to strangers and to saying hello and having conversations, because he's so introverted, but yet he's so good at talking to people. And I'm like, dude, you are great. People love talking to you. Like, you should maybe work on challenging yourself. There you go. Look at it as a challenge, like challenge accepted. For those of you who watch, How I Met Your Mother. I love him.
Make
Anyway,
it fun. Well, you really do. Challenge accepted. I
challenge
love that.
accepted,
Make it fun. Make it
Yeah.
fun to work through.
Yeah.
If you have something that's a fear or a phobia, and I'm definitely not a therapist,
Yeah.
or I wouldn't even claim to play one on TV. But if you have something that you feel is holding you back from living a life that you want to live, figure out a way to overcome it. I mean, if
Yeah.
you need to reach out, you need to find assistance, don't
Yeah.
don't be ashamed of it. Get the help
Yeah.
that you need. But
Yeah.
but I will say extra income can help soothe and heal a lot of other challenges, or help make a lot of challenges go away. The opportunity that this business has provided to my family. So the other is amazing. And the other piece of it is that in 2019, right before we jumped into the pandemic, my husband was a nurse,
Oh,
and we were just about to, so it was 2018, I guess it was, and it was just about to hit New Year's Eve time. And as a nurse, it meant he either worked New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, both of which meant we never got to have plans on New Year's. And so I don't know, I was feeling a little bit feisty and feeling a little bit like I'm tired of not getting
yeah.
to, have plans on New Year's with my guy. And so I looked at him and I said, okay, here's the deal. I think you should quit your job. So at this point, he's like, I'm the entrepreneur in the relationship. He's the worker bee. He's the company man. I mean, this is the guy who will never call in sick, never miss a day of work, like
Mhm.
loved his job. And I say, I think you should leave your job. I think you should come and work with me. And oh, that nursing degree that you finished a little bit later in life, I think you should walk away from that and become an accountant with me, right? Like, I
Wow.
didn't necessarily think he would initially say yes. I thought I would really have to work on him. In
Yeah.
fact, I didn't even know if he would ever say yes. And he looked at me and he just went, okay.
Oh,
And
wow.
so,
Look at that.
he's been able to, so he runs the tax side of our company.
Oh,
We were
wow. Okay.
smart enough to understand that there needed to be a little bit of a Chinese wall between
Yeah.
things. Like I
Hmm.
do bookkeeping and the course, he does the tax side of things.
Yes.
But he's gotten to, first of all, never miss a game for our youngest.
Ah,
He goes to every single football game. He's coached football.
oh,
They
love
got
it.
to, with what did they have, like 2 weeks notice 2 years ago, the kids, because my son plays football and then rugby,
Yeah.
so they got invited to go play rugby in Japan. And
What?
our in our past lives that would
Like,
have been,
yeah,
there's no
I understand.
way.
Yeah.
And it he got to go,
Oh,
so he got to
love
go
it.
with the kids. Not only were we able to afford for my son to go to Japan to play rugby for 2 weeks, but my husband got to go with and
Oh,
got to have
beautiful.
that experience. Now, I absolutely could have gone too. I, however, will tell you I'm just about the pickiest eater on the planet. So I elected to stay
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. No, hey, being true to yourself, right?
Right, 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 right,
I've
right.
been working on that. Like my husband's a cook, and I think he was born to be a chef. I've been trying to convince him to start his own restaurant, but or his food truck. But yeah, he's actually helped me to get out of that because I'm the same way. I used to be the pickiest eater in the world. I would judge it just by the way it looks or
Yes,
smells.
or smells.
Yes, but now like I've been trying things regardless, and I will say I'm glad I did that because I have found some awesome, like, even sushi. Like that's something I never thought I would like ever. I was so judgy of that, but oh my God. I'm a sushi lover now because I just tried it. Like I'm trying to, even with my kids, I'm just trying to be like, just give it a chance. Like you never have to eat it again, but
Just
just you
try it
never,
once.
and
Yes.
just like with what we're talking about, this whole conversation, you guys, just try. You never know until you try. No one said you have to be like pigeonholed and forced to. This is it. You make this decision. You got to do this for the rest of your life. No, but you just never know until you try. You could absolutely love it, or it could just help move you to the next step of where you're meant to go. So just look at it like that and just give it a go. And don't overthink it because Lord knows I'm an overthinker. And that's what always gets me in trouble. When I start overthinking, it gets me
I
in
think
trouble.
most women, I
I,
think most women are.
I
I
think
think
we are.
most of us are definitely
Yes. And
overthinkers.
I'm working to listen to my intuition and just trust. And, even if I make a decision in the end that I look back and I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I'm like, you know what? There's still a lesson in this.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow through. I made this decision, whether it was right or wrong. I will make the best of it and I'm going to learn from it and grow from it, even if it means like I now know something I wouldn't do in the future. You know what I mean? Like that's still so valuable in my journey as I grow. So I just try my best to like look at things like that so I don't beat myself up where in the past I'd be like living in regret and anxiety and whatever over a decision I made that I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. So I like reframing. Reframing's huge for me. So yeah,
Well, and learning something, I know we're about up on time. This is going to be like world's longest
I
podcast
know, I love it. I
episode.
know.
This
I
is a
could talk to you.
blast.
I could talk to you all
Um,
day.
but I've got some amazing resources
Yeah.
just that I'll share with you that
Okay.
you can share with your audience just to kind of
Yeah.
have them maybe reframe their thinking. And we do
Yeah.
that overthinking, as I've learned, as a way to protect ourselves,
Yeah.
and it actually works against us because there's opportunities
Yeah.
that we are missing out on because we're overthinking things and talking ourselves out of things
Yeah.
before we even try it. So try that
Exactly.
sushi, all of that
There
stuff.
you go, right?
Some
Well,
stuff you can try.
I oh my God, I know we've talked about so much golden nuggets in this episode alone, but I do always open the floor. Is there any final piece of advice or anything you'd like to share with the listeners today?
You owe it to yourself. And I don't know you, I don't know anything about you in your life, but you owe it to yourself to live your life to your truest potential. And if bookkeeping is the tool that gets you there, then so be it. If not, I would still love to have a conversation with you to give you a different perspective on things.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, Melissa, you're amazing. I love what you've created and how you're helping so many people. I'm so excited because I know this is just going to continue to grow and grow and grow and give your family the freedom that you all deserve. I'm excited for your kids that they're going out there in the world soon.
Yep.
And I hope that you and your husband have amazing adventures together, after that and as a family. So thank you. I want to thank you so much for being part of the show and being in my world.
Well, thank you, Mary.
Thank you. What an incredible conversation with Melissa. Before we wrap up, I want to pull together some powerful reminders from today's episode. Your setbacks don't disqualify you. They can redirect you. Even life's most difficult moments can open doors you never imagined. Freedom doesn't always mean starting from scratch. Sometimes it looks like learning a skill that creates flexibility, stability, and confidence. You deserve work that fits your life. Presence with your family and professional fulfillment don't have to be mutually exclusive. Your intuition knows the way. Growth begins when you stop overthinking and start trusting yourself. Legacy is built in everyday choices. When you choose courage, your children learn what's possible. If you want to learn more about Melissa and the incredible work she's doing, be sure to check out all of her links in the show notes. And Mama, if something in this episode stirred you, if you're realizing that you can't keep living on autopilot, that you're tired of starting over, or that version of you who's been surviving is ready to give way to the version of you who actually gets to live, I want you to know this. You don't need to try harder, you don't need more willpower, and you don't need to figure it all out on your own. What most moms truly need is a space to pause, to get honest about where they are, to reconnect with who they're becoming, and to feel supported as they step into the next version of themselves. That's why I offer a free Limitless Mom Strategy call. It's simply a conversation, a chance to explore where you are right now, where you want to be, and what's been standing in the way of following through. And if it feels aligned, I'll share how my identity reset method supports moms in letting go of what no longer serves them and becoming the woman who finally prioritizes herself, trusts herself, and follows through on the life she knows she's meant for. No pressure, no expectations, just clarity, honesty, and support. If you feel that nudge to learn more, you can book your free call using the link in the show notes or head to marydibblecoaching.com to explore your next step. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself, even when it's hard. Be sure to share this with a mom who needs to hear this today. Subscribe to the channel, leave a review. It's much appreciated. And until next time, keep trusting yourself, keep choosing courage, and keep rising into the woman you are already becoming. Much love.